My relatives insisted that I cancel my wedding anniversary vacation to look after my siblings' children and labeled me as uncaring when I declined. They pressured me for several weeks about acting self-centered and failing to grasp family obligations. I disregarded them for a couple of months. They eventually showed up at my home requiring me to cover their hired childcare expenses because it was my responsibility. I responded with words that stunned them into silence. Hello, I'm Nina, 32 years old female, and I've consistently been the dependable member of the household. Not due to being the eldest. My sister Tara, 35F, has that position. But because I'm the individual with a stable employment offering perks, a nice living space, and evidently the capacity to set aside my personal desires for the family's benefit. At least that's the narrative they push whenever they need a favor. My spouse and I had organized our 10th anniversary getaway for almost 12 months. We'd accumulated savings, reserved all arrangements ahead, and even scheduled it during a slow period at my job so I could avoid monitoring messages while relaxing. It was meant to be a week in Costa Rica, solely us, without duties, devices, or conflicts. That changed 2 weeks prior to departure when I received a conference call from my mother, father, and sibling. Darling, my mother started in that tone, implying she'd already made the choice for me. Tara and James were just presented with a spontaneous romantic getaway in Napa. It's fully covered. Fantastic chance. They depart during the identical period as your journey. I sensed the direction this was heading. Tara requires assistance with the children, father stated, as if it were merely a regrettable overlap. You operate remotely. You lack offspring of your own. It would greatly aid the household if you could delay your vacation slightly. I was taken aback. Delay my special anniversary outing? Tara added in a falsely pleasant manner, oh come on, Nina. You're aware of how challenging it is for us to find couple time. It's only 3 youngsters. You're familiar with their schedules already. Moreover, we've permitted you to join us on festive occasions. Permitted me. I supply my own provisions during visits. I composedly refused. We're not postponing. We've arranged this for an entire year. They fell quiet. Then the wave of remorse ensued. You're acting without compassion. Your siblings' emotional well-being is in jeopardy. You're not a parent, so you couldn't comprehend. You've altered since tying the knot. It's constantly about yourself. Household matters take precedence, Nina. They weren't requesting, they were commanding. When I stood firm, my sibling accused me of penalizing her for possessing a genuine household. My mother wept. My father phoned me. Tara even shared an ambiguous social media update stating, certain individuals solely focus on their own interests, even if youngsters are affected. I powered down my device. We proceeded with our vacation. Costa Rica felt like heaven. Upon returning, they remained upset. They'd engaged a skilled caregiver, and per Tara, it spoiled the whole escape since the caregiver lacked affection for the children and demanded an outrageous fee. I didn't request proof of payment. I offered no response. Then they ceased communication for a full 2 months, until the previous week, when the trio appeared at my residence clutching a documented bill. Mother, acting as the representative, declared you're the cause we needed to employ her. Therefore, you're settling this. I chuckled, out loud. That's the moment I uttered something that caused them to halt, and I was sincere in every syllable. I remained at my entrance, still grasping the shopping sack I'd recently carried inside, gazing at the 3 individuals I formerly regarded as my kin. My mother was in complete victim posture, limbs folded across her sweater. Father displayed that let-down scowl he adopted when I resisted their schemes. Tara, she gripped the printed childcare statement as if it were a legal notice. It amounted to $1,380. Evidently, that's the price for 5 days of expert child supervision while they enjoyed beverages in Napa. You're the cause we resorted to external assistance, Tara barked. You were aware we depended on you. You didn't attempt to find a middle ground. I was surprised. Middle ground? I wasn't included in this discussion. You informed me of your desires. I declined. That's not a middle ground, that's pressure. Mother advanced, always the mediator employing sentimental manipulation as her preferred method. Nina, you knew Tara faced pressure. She's managing 3 children, a partnership, career. It was a single outing. And you selected leisure over kin. That's when I recognized this wasn't concerning a charge. It never had been. This concerned dominance. I placed my purchases aside, rested against the entryway, and stated softly, you aren't indebted to me in any way. I've never sought a penny from you. Never requested pet sitting, aid with expenses, organizing my nuptials. You aren't indebted to me. They shared a look as if wondering, so what? I proceeded. However, I'm not indebted to you either. I'm not your substitute guardian. I'm not your psychological backup grown-up. I'm not your replacement caregiver. And I'm definitely not your financial resource. Tyra's mouth fell open. Father grumbled about how I wasn't brought up to be so harsh, and that's the instant I delivered the blow. You label me as self-absorbed, but all I did was begin establishing limits. The instant I ceased being useful to you, I turned into uncaring. You wish to present me with a childcare charge. Okay. Then here's my statement. For each occasion, I traveled 4 hours for your crises. Each time I provided festive meals, each time I dispatched present funds for the nieces and nephews without receiving gratitude. Want to engage in that contest? Let's proceed. Nobody uttered a word. Even Tara, who perpetually has a sharp remark ready, simply gazed at me. I could nearly perceive the mental processes churning in her mind. This wasn't the subdued, compliant sibling she'd always relied upon. I retrieved the childcare statement, reviewed it, and remarked, convey appreciation to her for performing what I had no duty to do. And in the future, consider contacting someone you truly value. Then I tore the document into 2 pieces, returned it to Tara, and shut the entrance gradually, composedly. Internally, my pulse raced, but it wasn't remorse. It was liberation. I hadn't erupted. I'd merely set a boundary, and they weren't accustomed to it. 2 hours afterward, I received a message from Mother. We didn't intend to distress you. You're simply not behaving like kin recently. I offered no reply. Instead, I served myself a drink of wine, settled on the sofa beside my spouse, and commented, I believe I'm truly liberated at last. But I had no idea the consequences weren't concluded yet. For several days following the Bill episode, matters became hushed. No communications, no appearances. I assumed perhaps, just perhaps, they were ultimately releasing it. But tranquility in this household is invariably merely the calm before turmoil. That Friday night, I obtained a note from my relative Lena. We're not extremely tight, but she's consistently been pleasant. Her note was merely a single sentence. Hey, I believe you ought to view this. Included was a captured image. It was a discussion group named Authentic Kin Only. And no, I wasn't part of it. There, openly visible, were days of communications from my mother, father, and Tara, together with my aunt and even some remote relatives. They weren't simply grumbling. They were thoroughly disparaging me. Mother, she's grown resentful. I hardly identify her. Tara, she's acting superior now simply because she lacks children and funds to squander. Father, we shouldn't depend on her any longer. She's clarified she's not part of us. Then arrived the decisive remark from my own sibling. She's going to pass away isolated, and when she does, I'm not attending her memorial. Self-centered folks merit decaying in their own isolation. I remained immobile. Not even furious, just finished. I displayed the captured images to my spouse. He remained silent for a period, then serenely inquired, Are you still intending to cover your parents' medical coverage next year? It registered. I'd been handling their payments for years, discreetly, routinely, because that's what kin does, so that evening I placed some calls, terminated their coverage extension, alerted the coverage representative to eliminate my payment details, established alerts to terminate additional automatic transfers. Mother's mobile service I was still managing, the vehicle upkeep account I'd created for father, even the streaming service they continued using via my account. Each individual, one, but I wasn't finished. The following day, I responded to Lena's note with gratitude and stated, allow them to maintain their authentic kin-only discussion. I'll preserve my genuine tranquility. Then I shared a straightforward update on my online profiles. If being the self-centered one signifies not financing individuals who loathe me, then I'll accept it. Reminder, limits aren't harshness. Expectation isn't affection. Quietude isn't remorse. I'm no longer the household's contingency strategy. I didn't mention anyone. I had no need. But by day's end, I had 4 unanswered calls from my mother, 2 messages from Tara, how could you, and 1 recorded message from father claiming I was ruining the household from resentment. But here's the reality. I didn't ruin the household. They simply never anticipated I'd cease resolving their chaos. And shortly, their largest chaos yet would arrive at my entrance. 2 weeks elapsed, 2 weeks of hush. Not the serene variety, but the type that hummed underneath, poised to erupt. My mother halted sharing her typical dawn inspirations. Tyra's online presence was strangely subdued. Even father hadn't posted one of his ideological outbursts. I assumed they were reorganizing, scheming another household mediation or a coordinated remorse assault. I was mistaken. Because when the rap occurred, it wasn't gentle. It was pressing, alarmed. I unlocked the entrance to discover Tara positioned there, limbs crossed, mouth firm. Behind her, mother and father remained in their vehicle, not even emerging. Tara dove straight in. All right, you've demonstrated your stance. You're irritated. We were severe. But this is becoming absurd. The caregiver service just contacted. We owe $900 in overdue charges and fines because mother assumed you'd reconsidered and were settling it. I lifted a brow. So your strategy was what? Manipulate me into handling it regardless. She entered without invitation, displaying her device with the unsettled statement displayed. I'm not engaging in tricks, Nina. It's time you cease penalizing the entire household for one miscommunication. Just settle it. You owe us at least that after the disruption you've created. I gazed directly into her eyes. You excluded me, ridiculed me privately, joked about me expiring solitary. You rejected me in a group discussion. And now you're at my entrance seeking assistance. She dismissed it with an eye roll. It was releasing frustration. Individuals express things when annoyed. Move past it. I inhaled deeply. Then I declared it, composed, deliberate, utterly transparent. You desired to exist without me? Exist without me. She was startled. No further charges, no further assistance, no further gentle resolutions. You wished me removed from the kin lineage. Then cease depending on my support whenever your existence ignites. Tara began faltering. You don't comprehend. Mother and father are deteriorating. Their online access was terminated. They skipped 2 vehicle installments. They're delinquent on services. They believed you'd manage it as usual. I shook my head. They've had over 3 decades to develop into self-reliant grown-ups. I provided them a complimentary journey for the past decade. I'm finished funding individuals who exploit affection. She attempted to induce remorse once more, but you've always been the resilient one, the steady one. If you simply... No, I interrupted no more. You don't get to continue employing your more capable as a justification for me to support everybody. That's not praise, that's control. At that instant, my spouse entered from the cooking area, silent, composed, positioned behind me. Tara's gaze shifted between us. Her assurance diminished. She pivoted to depart, whispering quietly, "You'll rue this when you're elderly and isolated." I offered her a melancholic grin. I'd prefer to be isolated with serenity than encircled by individuals who only appear when they desire something. As she departed, I noticed my mother glance from the vehicle opening. She didn't gesture, nor did I had no need. That evening I deactivated the former household discussion group, restricted the contact they all utilized for crises. My relative Lena dispatched a message. Required courage. I'm admiring of you. I didn't weep. I didn't reconsider. I simply rested for the initial occasion in months, without fear, without remorse, without pulsating obligation. And upon awakening, I commenced organizing something I hadn't permitted myself to envision. An existence that was entirely mine. Epilogue, they never expressed regret, not genuinely. But gradually, news circulated that I'd ceased being the financier. Others in the broader household contacted, some in support, some from interest. My mother sent a single birthday message months afterward. "Wish you're okay." I didn't answer, because I ultimately comprehended. Kin isn't those who demand from you, it's those who honor your limits when you decline.